talking to Ashley, who is secretary of the Willinghall Tippler Club. Ashley, how long have you been secretary of Willinghall?
I started the job this year.
And where was you before then?
I was 1 year a member of the Willinghall Club,
yes,
before coming secretary, and prior to that I was a private member of the NTU, flying as a novice for 2 years.
Well, I've got to say, when Ashley was flying as a novice, he did what is every Tippler flyer's ambition. As a private member, he won the Novice Cup, and it is a magnificent trophy. And did you feel very proud, Ashley, when you won that?
I did, yeah. I won that year as well. I won 2 sections NTU, and a runner-up to a couple of cups, the Ken Brown Cup, and runner-up in the young bird averages.
And I know, Ashley, that when you won the Novice Cup, you was isolated as far as flies were concerned, and you thought, which you thought right, you wanted to be involved in a club.
In a club, yeah.
And so you joined, what club did you join then?
I joined the Willinghall Club.
And then from there you become secretary?
Secretary this year.
And then, and what have you done this year, Ashley?
Well, when I first joined the club, the first year that I fled, after breaking my novice, I done 19 hours 19, which was my best Albert time, and that was the first time that I'd fled from morning into the dark, and I fled into the dark about 1 hour. So this year, in club wise, I've won 2 first prizes.
2 first this year?
2 first and 4 aggregates. That's this year.
And I know Ashley, like Jimmy Johnson, is a big Lovett man. Can I ask you how long you've had your Lovetts?
Well, I had my Lovetts originally from Albert Arshaw, who I was introduced to by Cliff Clark.
Yes, another ex-flyer, and he has just come back into the sport.
That's right, yeah, he's just come back into it. And I had the birds off Albert Arshaw. He sorted me a pair out at first, and then bred me 8 young birds, which started me off with Albert strain, which derived from the Lovetts. Also, later to that, when Albert retired from the sport as such, he let me have another couple of pair, which I started my family off up to date. And you've still got your Lovetts now, have you? Put any introductions into the Lovetts? No, what I've done, I've still got the original Lovett, well, Albert's birds. And I've got original cock, which I started off with, which was a bird off Cyril Miles and an hen of yours, Ken, which I've got that cock now, come back after 8 years, which started me back into Tippler again.
That bird, yes.
So I've got him as an original cock. He's an 85 pigeon now, but he's still filling his eggs.
Now, I know Ashley is very keen on the medication of pigeons, and I know for a fact he goes to Belgium a lot. Do you think we can learn a lesson from the medication of what the Belgians use?
Yeah, well, I believe in keeping my birds fit and healthy. So obviously incorporating to that is your medicines for actually keeping the birds in trim. So what I do individually is what you call blanket treat a pigeon, which I'll do for coccidiosis, which is the main disease, canker, salmonella, and I'll blanket treat for these diseases, obviously worms, just to make sure that in my own mind I know the pigeons are free from disease, and then I can start working with my pigeons then. So obviously hygiene's an eye factor. Yeah.
Can I ask you on interbreeding? Do you breed close?
Well, I'm just getting into the breeding. I've sorted out me flying and me feeding, yes. But I'm just going into breeding this year as in depth. So I shall be reading up on the breeding part of it. But as yet, I actually got any breeding plan that I could, you know.
Yeah. But do you think as the sport in general would be better off if the flyers thought more about medication as you think about it?
Well, I believe if you've got good husbandry, or you've got a system that can keep your pigeons clean and free from soil food or soil perches, then that's obviously an advantage. but the actual blanket treatment of the birds with antibiotics and various aids to their health, I think can only be an advantage, as long as you don't overdo it as such.
Would you, I know you go into breeding, would you go brother to sister or father to daughter? Would you take them that close?
Well, I should be looking at half brother to half sister pairings and actually line breeding from an original studcock. At the moment I've got 12 studcocks, which are, and obviously the ends to go with them, and I shall be breeding into that family. But I haven't actually introduced any new blood as such into my family. Obviously I've only been doing it for 4 years, so there's plenty of time to go yet.
Can I ask you if you do like your youngsters?
I do train youngsters, yeah. I haven't fled the old day yet and into dark with youngsters, but I do train them just in case I have a good fly and the weather conditions and like that.
When you wean your youngsters, do you wean them as a kit, or do you box them individual, or do you put them in your flight?
Well, with the youngsters, after weaning, I shall put them into kit boxes. I normally have a round of 7 to 10 birds, which I'll put into 2 kit boxes. From the kit boxes, then I'll train them into a trap such as this one.
Yes.
However, when them just parted off, 3 weeks old, I shall put them on the loft top or on the drop board without the trap, so that they can have a good look round and get the bearings.
Do you, can I ask you, on the week before the previous week before you loose them out, can I ask you if you, how long you keep the food off them, or do you keep the water off them? Do you leave them in the flight all day and night?
When I'm breaking in, I'll drop the food for at least 4 days to allow low protein, low carbohydrate diet. I'll probably use a poor quality barley to bring the condition right down before I have them out and make sure them keen and wanting food. The day before I shall take the water away altogether, so them at least 24 hours without a drink, and then I shall have them back out onto the loft top where it's in their hands then. So.
And doing all that preparation, Ashley, do you still find you lose many youngsters?
I do, yeah. I've bred 70 this year, and out of the 70, I think I've kept about 24 youngsters.
So you've had a 2/3 loss of youngsters?
I've had a heavy loss, yeah.
But you still feel that is the way to break them?
I still feel that's the way to break them. I think
very close by some cliffs, very, very similar to your setup here, Ashley. But again, you still manage to fly them. That's the main thing. Once you can get them on the loft from youngsters, they're all right.
They're all right from there, and they tend not to drop anywhere else unless they're under a lot of pressure. And like I say, they will drop on this near roof. It is inbound, so I tend to time in more times than what I'm disqualified.
But can I say to you, if your birds say drop on that particular building there, do you find it takes longer to get them in?
Well, the system that I employ is I call the bears with a whistle. So at the end of the day, when they've totally fled out and they hear the whistle, they associate that with food, water, and they seem to perk up, and from wherever they're perched or roosting, they'll be straight in.
So that's another first I've come across is calling them in once I've done the fly with a whistle. So that's something else. We always learn something every day in this game. Can I just, again, there's an unusual setup here of where the droppers are, which is a perspex front, and I presume you just open the front up and out the droppers come.
That's right. The reason I use a perspex front is because I keep the droppers so hungry, and the perspex helps to keep the heat in the
and that keeps the body temperature,
and then that keeps it so that they actually use the food for keeping the body temperature up.
Can I ask you, when your birds obviously come out to work, do they go that way back?
They go back in through the perspex doors.
So there's no problem there. They they work to the food, obviously.
Work to the food.
So there's no sections inside your pen for your droppers. No. And what have we got in there? Probably 15, 16 droppers?
There's, at the moment there's 12 droppers.
There's 12?
To start me for next year.
What overpowers me, Ashley, is when I stand here, is the height of your loft. Obviously, I know we've got an 18-inch stand to get up to your loft, but again, when I look here, when I look at your trap, and I haven't seen a trap like this before, Ashley, because what Ashley does, this particular trap is on runners, so he can work two sections from it. There's a section there, and there's a section here, and this actually slides across, and I can assure you it slides quite easy. Now, when this slides, Ashley, which way do your birds get into your trap?
Well, at the back of the trap there's a blank door, that slides across.
Yes.
And I'll get the birds in and out through that slide.
So you've got no access of like getting up to the birds. Once the birds are there, they'll come through without any problems.
That's right, yeah. That's right.
So that's fine. So again, it's a setup what suits this particular space. You couldn't have planned it basically any better. I notice you've got your louvers there.
Yeah, the louvers I've put in for ventilation. I've also got a 2-inch or a 6-inch gap in my young bird pen along the rear of the pen for the ventilation.
Again, we've got this. We got the airflow all the while going through your loft. Right, what we'll do now, Ashley, we'll go into your flying section, and we'll have a look at that. In the flying section, we've got the kit boxes, obviously at the top. I presume, are these kit boxes used for youngsters?
Well, this is my young bird pen, Ken. So all the youngsters which I'm flying, or which I will be flying like for next year, will be fled out of this pen. The reason being is that at the latter end of the day, it faces the sun and it gets the sun.
I'm with you. And I can see again, we've got the grid system here on the half-moon perch for them. And what happens at the bottom, Ashley? Are these just, again, them just kept here as youngsters?
Well, the bottom section I'll just keep for spare birds. And the pigeons in there at the moment are more stock ends.
Yes.
Which I'll keep there through the winter. I'm not actually going to breed in this in the garden for next year, so I should have plenty more space for me flying.
Yeah. So these are your stock ends, obviously, for next year.
That's right.
Do you find you breed many prints?
I've got quite a few light colours. That's prints, and I shall be breeding mottlers, and also I should say blues.
Yes.
And a few cremies and silvers.
Going back to Jimmy Johnson when we went there, whether he got any, I don't know, you could probably tell me, if he got any prints in his family.
There's prints in the family, yeah, and I've got really a mixture of half and half. I find the prints and the mottles equally as good, if not better, than the blues.
The blues
for flying.
Yeah. Do you find you get any problems with the colours?